Evening, everyone. Celtic FC Appreciation, our weekly show is back. Sunday night, we were going to go live last Sunday, but it couldn't happen. We couldn't get the guests on, so we're going live tonight. Stephen Murray, sorry, who was meant to be joining us, can't make it. Hopefully, we'll get him on another time. But joining us live is John Tierney, who's been on the show before. John, welcome back, mate.
How you doing, mate? All right?
Yeah, not bad, as I say. I should just point out that my voice is just starting to come back. I was a bit on it last night, let's just say, so just starting to get my voice back. We're available to download on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you download your podcast, just search Celtic FC Appreciation. 67Ts is our sponsor. Just check them out on Instagram as well, and also our YouTube channel if you can subscribe to that. If you could want any questions or comments put to me or John, we'll definitely get through them regarding the wins against Aberdeen, Motherwell, Raith Rovers. We're going to talk about the Kris Boyd situation. We'll talk Scottish Cup, who we're going to get in the next round, and obviously talk about the profits that was posted by Celtic. More of us touch on the Rangers game because we've not spoke about that yet as well. We'll touch on that later on. But so we'll just start, John, on No Cup Nightmare. Raith Rovers, second time we've played them this season at Celtic Park. Eventually it was another comfortable victory, but much like the League Cup win back in September, the fans were kind of edgy a wee bit today.
I felt as though it was. It started off, pretty slow. I think we got a bit of a surprise with the kind of starting lineup. We've seen that, players returning. We've seen, a variety of players that, would be what would be considered second string coming back. Seeing, Liam Scales, Welsh back in the team. It was good to see those two. It was a game that, to kind of summarise it, the first 70 minutes was a little bit passive. And then the last 20 minutes were the way we've been playing all season, and the exciting football, which could have been 2 or 3 goals at the end. It was a tough game, but obviously got the job done, and it was good to get that done. Get through the next round in the cup.
Yeah, as I say, I mean, we looked at the team lineup and it was pretty strong going. I know Ange's no one to take any chances with this competition. Obviously, we're getting into the business end of the competition. We're now into the quarterfinals. But Mikey Johnson obviously started. I know he went off injured. In terms of his performance, then, I was watching the game thinking, bit of a one-trick pony. I think he's too predictable. Do you see him having a future at Celtic after today?
It depends, that this is the thing where Mikey Johnson has played in the team, and you look at Jota and the impact he has and the impact Abada has, and then you compare it to Mikey Johnson. It's difficult to tell, to be honest. It's just whether or not Ange would be considering, is he fit enough? Is he a player that is going to keep up to the pace of the game? The trouble is that when Ange started this second string team, and just in general, I felt as though that, a lot of players maybe never got up to the standard which Ange would probably expect, and the tempo which Ange would expect. I don't know how you feel about that, guys.
Aye, as I say, Michael Purvis, welcome to the page. He says yet to read why Big Ange was unhappy. Didn't get to see the game where we not as clinical. I think we were more clinical in the second half when Jota came on, and Jota obviously changed the game, and we'll touch on that later. But for me, much like the last round, when we beat Alloa, I just felt like it was a horrible game. It was one of the kind of games where you just want to get the win and get out of there. And I know we were at home today, but as everybody attests to, it was like a decent crowd considering the weather today. It was horrendous all day, still is raining. So obviously it was one of the games. I just think, get the win and let's get out of there and get through to the quarterfinals, because obviously now, apart from Peterhead, who play Dundee tomorrow, there's no easy games left. So But for me, I mean, I just think, I know Ange was touching on the interview after. He says he doesn't want to see that first half performance, that, you know, because we scored the goal, as you know, and we just sat off. We expected the second goal just to come as easy it was. We took our foot off the gas and nearly got punished on a couple of occasions.
That's exactly it. You know, it's the tempo of the game has to be electric. You know, just when we're on the front foot, you know, the passing's good, and you know, it was great to see. You know, Scales coming up with a goal today, mate, and it was you know, it was good in that regard. But after that, as you said, it was just a case of, you know, Celtic were obviously expecting this goal, but we didn't work for it. I thought Forrest didn't have the impact which I would expect. I felt he was a little bit in the slow side, you know, a little bit not as sharp. And Raith Rovers, they were, you know, they were trying to pass the ball about, but, you know, they were making a lot of mistakes. And you just felt as though Celtic should capitalise here and get 2 or 3 goals in the first half. But maybe that's us just getting a little bit more greedy, or maybe used to the way we're playing, and maybe we're getting a bit too big for our boots, you know, expecting too much.
Yeah, well, I think in terms of, like, I know we were talking during the week after the Aberdeen game that, you know, the second half performance has been bugging a lot of Celtic fans, and I think, you know, first half we've been blowing teams away like Rangers and Motherwell and Aberdeen and things. At second half we just seem to sit off. We nearly got punished obviously during the week against Aberdeen, but thankfully we got away with it. But in terms of just like, I think just the whole high intensity, it is a wee bit spoiled. I mean, at one point I kind of took my eye off the game and I seen Joe Hart out at the corner flag, and he flicks it over to his defender, who then flicks it back to him and puts it in. I'm like, what is happening? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like you have a kick about with your mates down the park, and you know, it's just any keeper goes in. Do you know what I mean? That's what it felt like.
It was one of the kind of games where, yeah, it felt like a game of 5-a-sides with your pals, and you know, a few people have not turned up, or you know, a few people are just trying to do worldies and stuff like that. It was a little bit wild at times. Even when we took the penalty, Speedon that scored that penalty, and obviously he missed the penalty, but he got the rebound. I actually took a video of a photograph of Joe Hart, and he was sitting crouching beside his goalpost, just sitting leaning in his goalpost, and I thought, that's the kind of game it is. Just, you know, Raith Rovers obviously offered nothing too much going forward. So I think Celtic just took our foot off the gas just for the entire game. You know, obviously until what I would regard as the starting 11 come on. You know, that's when it kind of intensified a little bit, and obviously we get the 2 extra goals, which always helps. You know, a game like that. But yeah, it's one of the ones you get through, and we just look forward to the next round.
Yeah, and obviously, you know, we talk about the opening goal, Liam Scales. I'm a big Liam Scales fan. You know, took it with aplomb. You know, you probably not see a better goal all weekend in the Scottish Cup. You know, for your left back to be hitting efforts like that from 20 yards out, you know, it shows the intensity of the team when you've got Ralston's obviously chipped in with a few goals as well this season, so is Juranovic. So the fact that your wing backs are coming up with goals, that's massive in a push for the title.
It certainly is. It's one of the ones where Ange is expecting his full-backs to chip in as much as possible, whether it be a goal or whether, you know, they get up and just help with the passing just up near the 18-yard box. It's a sort of expectation when you know, teams sit in, because, you know, we need to overload. It's just the way it is if teams are just fundamentally sitting in for the entire game. No, it's good to see Scales get a goal. And you know, it's good that we're getting, you know, goals like that from distance as well. You know, goals from distance. That was one of the things that was missing last year was, you know, shooting from distance, and I always felt as though, you know, it kind of went astray. But you know, there's players like Hatate scoring from distance, Scales scoring from distance, not afraid to take a shot. Rogic again scoring from a little bit of distance as well. So
yeah,
good to see that more often in a game now, and you know, it's just a regular occurrence for Celtic to get goals from any means.
There was a bit of, obviously a bit of kind of heart and mouth moment when Carter Vickers, you know, possible penalty. Do you think that was do you think we got away with one there?
Possibly, but again, it's up to the referees to decide. Again, there's been plenty of criticism regarding referees, and in recent times, especially, we could have got away with one, but to be honest, I felt as though even if they did get a penalty and they did score, Celtic would have enough just to win 3 or 4-1. It was just actually, I actually like the fact that Celtic in that game had the possibility of bringing on Callum McGregor, and they just would have intensified. But obviously, when we got the second goal, Callum McGregor took a seat. But it's just good having that option, because McGregor, I don't know about you guys, but how good is he at getting the tempo up?
Oh, 100%. I mean, he is definitely, he's without doubt, he's one of the best midfielders in Scottish football, and the fact that he's playing, with a fractured cheekbone. And listen, I think you probably seen a wry smile on his face when the second goal went in, and he thought, I might not need to come on here, chatting get his mask wet. But no, I think I totally agree. I think he is. The way he dictates the play kind of thing. All he needs to do is stand in the middle of the park, and he just sprays balls. And you seen him setting up the second goal at Pittodrie, obviously during the week. But I think obviously, I don't know if Ange would have wanted to have put all his first team players on near then. Maybe it was a plan. Maybe it was always a plan, because we've got Bodo Glimt and Thursday kind of thing. But for me, I just think he would have rather the team done the business in the first half, and then he could have obviously made whatever changes he wanted. But obviously into the second half, the second goal was a thing of beauty. The ball from Hatate, perfectly weighted, Jota right across to Giakoumakis, and he just opens his foot up and tucks it past Jamie McDonald. I mean, that was the difference. I mean, I know, listen, we'll talk about Maeda obviously getting in the score sheet and beat on, but I mean, I think for me the match winner is Jota, because he comes on and the whole game changes. Do you know what I mean? I think when you look at the wings, Forrest at one wing, Johnson at the other, you put Abada and Jota on, and the whole team changes a step up a level.
Aye, the work rate of those two, Abada and Jota, especially Jota, it's unbelievable. His pace is electric, and I think the saga continues whether we'll sign him or not. That's something that we would just want him to sign right away. But he's a fantastic player, and he'll be crucial for us this season. He'll be crucial for us for the remainder of the games, definitely.
Yeah, and obviously just Beaton obviously tucks the penalty away to make it 4. There was a bit of confusion, I think, with it was at Makic to being sent off potentially. It was on a booking already. Steve McLean didn't know that. He thought it was somebody else, and the fact that nobody seemed to be caring, it was 3-0. It was just like, whatever, you're not going to get a point sent off when you've already won the game. But obviously, we're through to the quarterfinals. Who would you like to take when you look at the teams that's left? Are all Premier League teams apart from obviously Peterhead. Who would you like to get tomorrow in the draw?
I think I'd like to get a St Mirren. I think the reason I'd like a St Mirren would be just because of that 0-0 game. I felt the 0-0 game back in December, I felt that was just it was one which we should have won, and we didn't have enough squad depth. So I'd just like to see Celtic play them and just obviously win that game comfortably against them, or try and just win it with obviously Jota and Abada and stuff like that. Because obviously when we were at St Mirren Park that night, I was there, and it wasn't a nice watch at all, to be honest. Just the way we couldn't beat players and couldn't take players on, and the intensity and stuff like that. So I would like St Mirren, but we could equally end up with all the other guys that are through, Motherwell and even Rangers themselves. So who would you like to see, guys?
Do you know what? I wouldn't mind an away day, purely because I think I don't mean there's less pressure on us. I just think we seem to thrive more when we're playing away from home. That kind of, I don't mean the pressure today, but the fans were kind of getting a bit etchy today. And I think if we'd been playing maybe a Hearts or a Hibs at Celtic Park even, I think obviously the intensity would have been a lot higher. The players would have been on it a lot more. stronger lineup, etc. But I just think when you're playing teams like Alloa and Raith Rovers, with all due respect, the intensity isn't there. The kind of will to go out and finish the game as soon as possible isn't there, because the players obviously must think, the goals will come, we'll get the win, it'll be fine. But we've been in enough Scottish Cup ties where that doesn't happen and you're struggling. And obviously, as you say, St Mirren, December there, riddled with COVID, looked like an easy 3 points. It didn't happen. I think that was the last time we dropped points. So, when you look at it, I wouldn't mind a tasty wee trip to Tynecastle. I'll be honest. I think Hearts are playing well, but I think that would be a real statement of intent. I think if we went to Tynecastle and able to beat them to get into the semi-finals kind of thing.
Getting to Hampden is the main thing. Getting to the final. But, I think regardless of whoever we get, I think Celtic will have enough in the squad to get past whoever. Yeah,
and as I say, hopefully that draw obviously is tomorrow after the Dundee Peterhead game. It's live in BBC Scotland. We're going to do a live tomorrow, hopefully when the cup draw comes on, and we'll see who we get. So Motherwell, obviously, we'll go back to last Sunday. Seems like an eternity ago. Obviously, 4-0 win. The return of Rogic, the Wizard of Oz, absolutely two great goals. Abada was sensational. Hatate was great. Who kind of stood out for you apart from the main kind of guys?
Matt O'Reilly was brilliant. I thought he was excellent. His touches, his movement, his passing, his work off the ball. His work off the ball was terrific. He's just a proper midfielder with a fantastic work rate. And that's been the kind of story of the story of the season, story of the signings that have come in this season. The work rate is just wonderful. And the obviously the ability to take shots, sometimes we can be a little bit naive to take shots, or maybe we find midfielders that are a little bit, take a shot but it kind of goes over the bar. But these are real good, powerful shots. They're on target, might take a deflection. Matt O'Reilly, obviously his goal was took a deflection, but again, it's got power on it that that chance might happen, it will just go in. So I thought Matt was really good, and obviously we can touch on the Wizard of Oz. He was magic. He's just such a top player. And he finds it, with Tom Rogic, he finds that when he gets the ball and he lifts his head a little bit, when he's taking a little bit of touch, there's a chance it's going to go in. There's a shot. And I love the fact that he's became a completely different player under Ange. His intensity's increased, his work rate's increased, and you could argue that Tom Rogic is a better player. Well, here I'll ask you the question: is Tom Rogic a better player now than he was under Brendan Rodgers?
100%. I think Ange is whether it's the Australian connection, I'm not too sure, but obviously I think he's just got that extra wee level out of him. He's got that wee bit more out of him that probably Celtic fans didn't know he had. I mean, we've always said for years that you can't get more than 60 minutes out of Tom Rogic, and all of a sudden he's coasting games, and it just looked like he was really, really enjoying his football last week, being back playing for Celtic, and obviously had a successful time away with Australia kind of thing. I know he scored. I think he scored twice and maybe an assist. But I think when you look at it, first goal's sublime. The first goal is absolutely sublime. It's like it's one of the ones you just stand up and applaud. But I mean, Liam Kelly, much like Alan McGregor, had it not been for Kelly, it could have been 7 or 8 quite easily during the shots he saved.
Aye, and even it was, I think, in even the first half, we stuck the pressure on, and it was just a case of getting the early goals, getting the intensity right up, and then second half, kind of similar picture. But obviously, towards the end, Maeda scores a goal which I think it was must have been the biggest chip in the world. I don't know what kind of goal that was, but it kind of went into orbit, it came back down, went in. It was a wild goal, but it was really nice to see it. Kind of, I love kind of goals like that, just kind of bizarre looking goals that just go right up there.
It was one of them because you know, when he went through, what I noticed was obviously the weight of the pass was perfect, but his power and his pace just to hold off the defender. I think it was Mugabe that he held off, and obviously that is a pure fluke, and it's one of them. But you still cheer it as much as the top bins for like Sir Tom Rogic. In terms of Giakoumakis, then obviously, you know, it was more a threat in terms of bullying other players, and he was getting into a bit of a heated battle with Mugabe, as I say, before he went off. Do you like that side of his game? Do you think that's a good side to his game, that obviously, you know, you need to control yourself, because obviously you're going to pick up a lot more bookings if you're getting involved with players. But in terms of obviously going to the score sheet today, which was good, do you think it needs to kind of keep him in the team and keep going with Giakoumakis as the number one while Kyogo is injured?
I think you do. I think it's at the moment it's a toss up between Giakoumakis and Maeda, but with Giakoumakis, I think you get something. I think you get, you know, a little bit more hold up play. And I was talking to you know, my cousin. I was just explaining, you know, the season he scored, there was the top goal scorer in Eredivisie, and you know, I think there's a progression of him, that he was originally a centre half, and then they moved him to be a striker, and then obviously he was the top goal scorer, but he must have been the only person that scored the goals. And then obviously Ajax were wanting him, and obviously we got him. But you know, I think it's just, you know, with that record, you feel as though he's going to contribute more goals. But yeah, the kind of style he is, he's obviously a big, strong guy, so his hold up play is good, and you know, I like the fact they scored today, but you know, it gets into spaces that are you know, quite confined, quite tight, and he can just get a turn. So he'll obviously, you know, if the ball comes in, I think Ange's just hoping for a quick, you know, touch and finish, not even just a one touch finish all the time. You know, depending how he does it, but yeah, he's a strong character, and I think you've got to stick with him for the meantime, because I think that, you know, with the run of games coming up, you know, European games and stuff like that, against Bodo twice, you know, his presence and him getting a couple of goals in those games would boost his confidence, and then you'll just see him, you know, creeping up the goals, and you know, you'll get a return that, you know, we've hoped to expect from a striker, from a top striker.
Well, that's the thing, obviously, because in terms of, I actually meant to say about in terms of the Raith Rovers game today, the biggest cheer obviously came when the return of Christopher Julian came on the park, and although he didn't have a great deal to do, it was great to see him back on the park. Would you be all for kind of replacing him with either obviously Starfelt or Carter Vickers, or do you think he'll kind of just be on the periphery, just hanging around to come off the bench?
He was one of our expensive signings. You know, one of our more expensive. He was one of our more expensive signings. So you'd hope to get his, you know, his value. You'd hope to get the max of what you could get out of him now that he's, you know, fit again. But I think for the meantime, I think it'll be, you know, possibly a balance between, you know, taking off Starfelt and putting in Yuli in there. I think it'll be a 50-50 run to the end of the season. And then Welsh, obviously, I think Welsh will play a big part, especially in the European games, because I think Celtic will have to, you know, I think we'll get past Bodo Glimt, you know, and then we've got, you know, the round of 16, then we start going on and start looking for flights to Tirana eventually. But, you know, again, Ange, when he was talking in his interview, was talking about, you know, we're still in 3 competitions, you know, he wants progression in all 3 of them. So the rotation of the centre-backs is going to be crucial. What do you think, guys?
I mean, I to be honest, I think if it was a Europa League, I wouldn't be. I'd be more kind of hopeful that we could go far in it, because obviously it's the second tournament to the Champions League. The Conference League, I know it's kind of getting bashed about, so I'm kind of on the fence. But I'm more on the fence. I'm not on the fence of it's the third tournament, it's a bit of a Diddy Cup and things like that. We don't really want to be involved in it too much. For me, it's more, I don't want to see us picking up unnecessary injuries. I want to see us obviously winning this league first and foremost, because it is your bread and butter. Champions League automatic qualification that comes with a £40 million bounty. And obviously, if you win the Conference League, I think you get automatic entry into the Europa League. Which the only thing I'm thinking is it might be fate, because obviously Ilir Meta, the Albanian president, is obviously a massive Celtic fan and always tweets and makes Facebooks about Celtic. So I can imagine him letting us have the run of the country if we get to the final. I think that would be an incredible sight to behold.
It'd be a state visit for all Celtic fans. I think it'd be like, it'd be the most welcome we'll ever feel anywhere. It would be. Exactly. It would be. I think we'd go over on our masses to that game. If we were to get there, but you're right in what you're saying. The league is the bread and butter. Ange knows that, but I think there's an element where Ange wants to prove himself in the European stage. This is the first time. Is it the second time? Is this the first year of the Conference League? So
first year,
first year. So if Celtic were to make a bit of distance in it, it looks good. If Celtic were the first team to win this Conference League, it's just a good thing to history. But I think we're dreaming ahead a little bit. But the bread and butter is to get into the Champions League. Winning the league would be, the most important thing, certainly.
Yeah, as I say, like winning breeds confidence. That's the thing I'm thinking. So I'm thinking it's be obviously good if you were winning on the Thursday and then going to play on the Sunday and winning there. But then I'm thinking, if Rangers did get knocked out with Borussia Dortmund in the Europa League, then they would potentially be playing on the Saturday. They get to go top of the league. There's a chance of them putting the pressure back onto us. So I don't know. I'm kind of in between. I wouldn't be disappointed if we lost to Bodo Glimt, but at the same time, I'd love to go through and end up playing a Roma in the quarters of the semis or something. So I think that would be an amazing achievement. And obviously, as you say, the first team ever to win the tournament, it would go down in history. So move on to the Aberdeen game. Another brilliant first half performance. Should have been further ahead. Obviously, had the linesman not incorrectly ruled out Jota's goal. I think the linesman gave it for offside and the referee gave it for handball. Neither were correct, and obviously you were just like, that's who you're up against. But obviously, I've been a big fan of Lewis Ferguson for a long time, and said that we should be signing him, we should be looking at him for like domestic campaign. I think he would fit into our team absolutely perfect alongside Kalmak. I really want to just sign him now so he stops scoring against us. 7 goals against us, and I mean, what did you think of the game?
The game, I think it was a game of two halves, but the first half, Celtic were in cruise control. But cruise control, as in the tempo was right up. The goals, the ball went to Jota at the back post, nice finish, and for his celebration takes a golf shot to Joe Hart, fantastic.
I thought that was class.
And then obviously we went on from there, and we go 2-0 up, and then you're thinking, as you said, for the third goal, or I suppose the third goal, it was perfectly legitimate, but we should have been 3 or 4-0 up. But the second half, what happened was Aberdeen pressed with two strikers, so they just pressed further up the park. But Celtic were struggling a little bit. I felt Starfelt was kind of going, "Oh, I'm getting the ball here, but I'm getting pressed quite heavily." So we were under a bit of pressure. And Aberdeen got a little bit of luck in certain areas. And I think as well, giving away the free kicks, it's tricky. I mean, I think was it Hugh Keevins a while ago said, Celtic are terrible at conceding from set pieces and whatnot, free kicks, etc. I didn't see it, so much happening in recently, but then when I seen those 2 free kicks, I thought we are a bit susceptible. The second goal for Aberdeen, the equaliser, I'm just wondering if there was a foul there. I don't know if there was, Bates was blocking whoever was meant to go out and press. I don't know if it might have been Abada, but Abada was attempting to go and there was clear obstruction to press that ball. Because I don't know what you thought about the second goal, guys, but you thought, do you not think it was a little bit of slow motion? Or the first goal, actually? So the first goal.
The first goal for Ramirez. I thought first and foremost, I'm not too sure about the free kick award in terms of. I don't know if it's more hit his shoulder or his arm, because obviously it didn't get replay. But I think in terms of how we've set up, we obviously set up quite deep in the box, in the 6-yard box, and then obviously there's nobody coming out to mark Ramirez, and it's just an easy finish for him. It's a striker's finish. You'll put that away all day. It was a bit slow motion, but then you're thinking, right, don't do what we done last year. And because what we were doing last year was we were conceding goals, and then the whole team was just, the whole shape of the team was just gone defunct, and nobody knew what they were doing, and were chasing shadows. And I felt like we were going back to that stage during the week, especially when Lewis Ferguson gets a header in against, I think he out jumps Taylor in the end. And I just think, again, set pieces, as I say, you just need to get bigger players, I think, in the near post.
Aye.
As I said, I didn't notice the possible obstruction for Bates on Abada, but in terms of, I just think, like, you know, when you look at it, we just need to be better at defending, and obviously it helps with Carter Vickers and Starfelt. I was on Go Radio during the week talking to the guys, and I was saying to them about Starfelt, and they were saying, would you put Christopher Julian? And I says, no, really, because if it's no broke, don't fix it. You know, we're doing quite well. I think we've only conceded 2 goals in the last 5 games. You know, so I think we're doing well. Starfelt just needs a wee bit of confidence in himself, because as you say, under severe pressure at Aberdeen, kind of started to panic a wee bit. You've seen that in his play. And I just think sometimes you want him just to drive forward, like a Virgil van Dijk, a Christopher Ayer, a player of that ilk, a Beaton even, when he's in defence. You just want to have the confidence, because let's face it, it's the Scottish League. You know, you're not playing in the best league in the world. So you're not playing against the best players in the world. And there will be times when you can drive the ball forward, and not every time, but at the same time, he's just sideways Starfelt, as I call him. You know, he just passes the ball from side to side and back to Joe Hart, and it's like, you know, it's just like a wee bit of urgency and a wee bit of confidence in himself. But I think that'll come with the more games that he plays, kind of thing.
Aye. The other thing I will say, guys, about that game was that, you know, when you know that sustained pressure from Aberdeen at the start of the second half, Aberdeen were, you know, they just came out of the traps. They must have decided, oh, we better play football. We should have been 2 or 3, you know, now down, and they just they fell apart, and they got a little bit of luck. The one thing I will say is that when we are 2-0 up, you know, do we keep going? I think that's obviously Angie's philosophy. We just keep going, we never stop.
Yeah.
But you know, when obviously they scored their 2, and then Jota right away, we reacted, you know, so well, as we've always done this. Straight after, you know, the opposition are celebrating an equaliser, that's when they're most susceptible. You know, we've seen it against St Johnstone. You know, we've seen it against Hibs, you know, at Hampden as well, the two prolific moments, and then we've seen it again against Aberdeen. You know, 60 seconds later, straight in. It was just fantastic, and what a finish by Jota for that 3rd goal.
Aye, I mean, he's been a phenomenal talent for Celtic this season, and as you say, changed the game today. Obviously, we were winning today, but he obviously came on and finished the game for us. You know, as I say, he should have had a goal in the first half at Pittodrie. He gets his goal. He does really well for his first goal, actually, I think, because he just gets in between the goalkeeper and defender. I wasn't sure at first, when the ball came in to O'Reilly, I wasn't sure at first if the ball just kind of hits off him. But when you see it again, you know, he just gets in, takes it really well, right in the bottom corner. He really, you know, you can tell in his celebration, he loves being here. And they obviously love scoring against Aberdeen, because he obviously scored the winner at Pittodrie last time out, kind of thing. But in terms of, I mean, you know, I just think that's a wake-up call for us in Wednesday, obviously, you know, because, as I say, we were 3-0 up against Rangers, we were 3-0 up against Motherwell, and we took the foot off the gas in both of those games. So I think we've been 2-0 up at Pittodrie and thinking game's done, and the players have probably took the foot off the gas. But I think Ange, especially with how angry he was at today's first half performance, I think he must have let them know how he felt, and made it clear that it's not acceptable. That it doesn't want to, because we all know the famous clip now that for the start of the season when he first took training. And it's like, you know, we don't stop. We stop at half time, we stop at full time, and we're celebrating. And everybody kind of took to it right away. But now when you look back on it and you watch how the team plays, it is that they just keep going. But we need to reignite that wee spark in the second half of games for me. Obviously we've got Bodo Glimt on Thursday, but I think we're at home to Dundee at the weekend as well. So, I think a big win is in order for that game kind of thing.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the thing with Ange is obviously wanting this intensity, and he'll change it. He's not scared to change it quickly if required. If he doesn't get that intensity, and even today, I think we're obviously 2-0 up, but he still makes those changes because he knows that the fans have paid money to go see Celtic today. And when we're paying money, we want the entertainment, and I think Ange has always said that. Football, you have to be entertaining. I think you've got an obligation to give the fans what they want for their money, and plenty of goals, but a bit of intensity to games. And I think we were yawning a little bit today, but Ange wasn't scared to change it, and it was good. But just a final point on the Aberdeen game. Obviously, I know we've changed a bit, but. See that when we put on Giakoumakis and put on Beaton, I felt as though that the game kind of solidified a little bit and made those changes, and we looked a little bit more secure and looked as if we were going to just roll out for the 3-2 win. And the good thing was as well is that Aberdeen dropped off a little bit when that happened. So when we held up the ball a little more, Aberdeen get no choice but to come back a little bit and try and get involved. But that gave the opportunity for Starfelt and Carter Vickers just to hold on to the ball a little bit more, and then the clock obviously ran down. So Ange is very shrewd, but he's good at his subs. He'll be disappointed about the goals he lost, but it's obviously a good advert for Scottish football that that there is teams that are going to can compete against Celtic, that's for sure.
That's it. And when you look at obviously Aberdeen, they've sacked Stephen Glass obviously today, and Scott Brown, obviously there's talk of him becoming a part of an interim management team. I mean, that could be crazy. 2 weeks time, go to Ibrox, Brownie in the dugout. That could be absolutely bonkers. I don't think he will. I think he'll be in the team because I think he'll want to dictate from the middle part, but we'll see how that one goes. But obviously, listen, we're going to Kris Boyd's situation. I know Celtic have said they're dealing with the matter in hand. Callum McGregor's had his say. For anybody that's been living under a rock for the last week and a half, it doesn't know what Kris Boyd has been spewing. Obviously says that in relation to the Rangers, the win over Rangers, Kris Boyd says in his column on The Sun, the fact that Callum McGregor managed to get through the 90 minutes without anyone testing out that face mask is another story. Some have taken that to mean I wanted one of the Rangers players to intentionally hurt the midfielder. That is unequivocally not true. It just meant that he didn't feel as if the Rangers players got close to him. Obviously, Callum's said that Boyd's reached out to him. They seem to have sorted out their differences. Do you think that's just Callum growing as a captain and saying, do you know what, they can say what they want? I'm just interested in the team.
Yeah, it's all. I think Ange, but Callum McGregor, he's been at Celtic for years now, since obviously academy days, and he knows how to handle the media. He knows how to just tell them that whilst things are out with my control and things are said, if he heard the apology from Kris Boyd, he listened to it and he just wanted to move on. Which, to be honest, why would you spend too much time dwelling on it? To be honest, for it was Callum McGregor's injury. I can appreciate why people might find it in bad taste. And I personally, when I initially heard it, I thought that is quite malicious. Can be perceived as malicious. To hurt McGregor, but whatever your opinion on it is, I think Callum McGregor knew that whatever he couldn't care less. It's not going to affect his performance. He's made a brilliant recovery, with the face mask and stuff like that. Albeit, and just probably looking to keep him, nice and sheltered till Thursday. Maybe just put a box around his head just to get that extra bit of protection. Callum McGregor, it's duck off a water's back. I don't know what you think, guys.
Listen, I've met Kris Boyd a few times, and what you see is what you get. That's what he's like. He's just, you can say, he can call it banter if he wants, but in my opinion, when you're an ex-professional football player and you're writing a column, you've got a duty of, you need to be careful with what you're putting out there. Now, for me, I thought the editor should be held accountable as well for putting it out there, because you're basically insinuating that you want a professional footballer to get intentionally hurt, and I think that's what he meant. I genuinely think he wanted one of the Rangers players to go up 50-50 with him and leave a mark on him, leave something on him. I think that's what he meant. But in terms of Callum, obviously isn't going to lose any sleep over it. If him and Boyd's obviously had words and sorted it out, then that's good enough for me. Whether Celtic want to ban him or not, for me, I said during the Rangers game, my old man was saying is, I wouldn't let Kris Boyd into Celtic Park, I'd ban him and blah blah. I says, no, don't want to go down that road, because when Rangers done it with Sutton and Lennon, it was embarrassing. They all slated him for it. But the fact that he's now come out with a statement in a newspaper column stating that he wanted, didn't he want somebody to get, stating that he didn't want to get Callum McGregor hurt, but you don't say that. You word it differently. You go, do you know what? I think the Rangers players need to get closer to. I think the Rangers players need to get closer to Callum McGregor. Then that's fine. But do you know what? They couldn't get closer to Callum McGregor because he ran the midfield. Barisic was running away from him. That's how good a performance he had with a fractured cheekbone. But listen, I mean, obviously Celtic fans they don't like Kris Boyd at the best of times. For me, I still don't want to see him at Celtic Park anymore. I think I don't mind banter, but I don't believe that's banter. I think they need to. I know Sky had warned him at the weekend about his language, but the way he says things. But I just think he's a crap pundit. I just think he's such a bad pundit that he's like, why are you on Sky Sports on a Saturday afternoon? I just don't get it.
I think the aggression comes out in him, and it's the aggression's quite it's quite obvious to see. You can see a little bit of build up, and I think the difference is that you look at pundits every day. I mean, human nature is different, but human nature is that you've got to be, if you're in a position where you are a journalist or you are a reporter, you've got to be in, whilst you're there for entertainment reasons, you've got to have that little bit of neutrality to say, well, it's a game of football. Let's, I'm there to talk about that. And I think there's there is a kind of draw to go, oh, I'm going to, give my opinion for the viewers that love me. I'm going to give that opinion, but you've got a duty of care to be fair and ethical in your reporting. You've got to be a little bit, magnanimous, and there's certain things. But I always find Kris Boyd likes to bite, and he likes to, react to things when you think, why are you reacting to that? And you think, you're a journalist, should you really react like that? I mean, that's obviously up to him, but the comments on McGregor were, they were. They could be worth a ban, but I think Celtic, gave him a talking to. I think he obviously spoke to McGregor, apologised, and obviously got to a resolution. But I think from now on he'll be closely monitored in terms of his, in terms of his comments that could be perceived as a little bit, hurtful or any detriment to any players at all. Anything in that regard could be frowned upon as a possibility.
I would just love to see Chris Sutton sign up for Sky next season. I just think that could be fireworks. That could be absolute roller coaster TV. Do you know what I mean? That would be sensational, I think.
Chris Sutton's a great pundit. I just love the fact that he's he speaks his mind. But the thing with Kris Sutton is that he will wind up, but he'll be fair in terms of how at the end of the day, these are all footballers, they're all fallible. He's not going to let any of his prejudgments come into play, or it'll be a case of him having a laugh and stuff like that. And obviously doing his bit for punditry. So, but it could be something for the future.
I think in terms of Sutton, I think he's probably the Celtic version of Kris Boyd. Only I do think that Sutton gives a wee bit more intelligence in terms of his punditry. I just think in terms of Kris Boyd, just raises his voice every so often and thinks that's him being a good pundit. But listen, we'll move on. Celtic obviously posted massive profits midweek. Their 6-month financial results, £27.6 million pre-tax profit for the 6 months ending December. In terms of, I think it rose from just 1 million in the same period in 2020. Profit is up. The loss from 5.9 same period last year. Listen, I'm not a financial guru. I don't know the Wolf of Wall Street here, but in terms of like the stats are there. Do you think, in terms of that, means that that's good news for Ange in terms of he can get backed properly in the summer?
I think it's been a very economic, season, but it's been a very effective season. Celtic have made the most of, the finances that they've had, and the transfer business has been terrific. I think, even if we were to spend a little bit more, even if we were in a little bit of loss, I think we would be happy. We would be happy just because of how the team's performing, how we're going about our business in general. But it's just, it's a bonus to know that we've done that, but we've also maximised, what Ange knows, and Ange is aware of the finances of the club. So, it's quite an attribute that he's, managed to get all the players that he's brought in for a certain budget, and the profits obviously have returned since the fans have been allowed back, and that's been a big thing for Celtic, getting the fans through the door, getting the income, the revenue up for the club. That's been very, very important, and it'll be interesting to see how, towards the end of the season, how our numbers, are we going to have full houses all the time? I think we will. Going towards the end of the season. I don't know what you think, guys.
I think when you look back in the kind of Ronnie Dyla days and things like that, and I was at European nights when it was Europa League, and it was just horrible because there was maybe 25,000, 30,000 at the games, and it felt horrible. It felt like a pre-season friendly, so there was never any atmosphere. I do think much like the Brendan Rodgers era, that we'll continue to have full crowds. For me, I would like to see Celtic maximise that outside space that they've got. In terms of, I've been down at Etihad a few times, and they've got a fan zone, they've got the stage with singers on, and there's stuff, kids face painting and things like that. I think Celtic are missing a trick in terms of that. I think they've got the space. I think they could definitely do something for the fans outside on match days before they go in. I think there's so many possibilities that we can make money outside of football. But I just think that the player sales profits, obviously, that we've made, especially with the sale of Edward, I think that's obviously helped massively. There's talk of Kieran Tierney going to Real Madrid in the summer for 50 million, which is crazy to think of. But Celtic are due $7.5 million if he goes for that figure. So I think in terms of as a business, the way the club's been run, I think we're really, really in a great place in terms of financially. I don't think the squad needs a massive injection of money. I think the two main players that's going to come in the summer, hopefully, is Carter Vickers and Jota, and that will be for roughly 12 million. After that, he might invest in the J League again or go to Australia, wherever kind of thing. But no, for me, I don't think there needs to be a massive investment. I think we just need to steady the ship in terms of the balance the books and get any positions filled that needs filled. Obviously, Michael Nicholson's now the chief executive, took over from Don Mackay, but I think he's done a great job. I think he deserves massive credit in terms of how he's handled a kind of tumultuous spell.
It's been excellent, guys. It's been really, really positive. The fact that we've managed to get such a in a such a short space of time, such effective results. And I think if Celtic fans were given this situation at the start of last season, would have chewed their hand off and just thought that's a little bit, maybe we're asking a little bit too much of Ange, but he's got us to a point where we're clearly in a title race, and we are competing. But not only that, we're playing exceptionally good football with the players we've got, and it's looking good for the future. In terms of if we can get the signings of Jota and Carter Vickers, across the line, it'd be amazing. I think what Ange will do though is, if obviously, I presume that we'll sign Ange just at the end of this summer.
Yeah.
I think there will be investment in the development teams. I think Ange will have a say in that. Players that are coming through. I know he wants to go to the Korean League. He wants to go to certain markets that are a little bit untouched or a little bit uncharted. He wants to bring players over, so it'd be good to get players in like that. But I think Celtic have went about their business this year, even with the exports. As you said, like the Christies that have left and Edwards, etc. It's been really, really positive, and it's good. I just what I hope for is that if we do win this league, the Champions League money, what effect would that have for Celtic? How massive would that be? What impact do you think it would have?
I think in terms of, I would like to see part of the money going into the squad, obviously with the inclusion of Carter Vickers and the Jota deals, hopefully. I'd like to see us buy another couple of quality players, because what I'd be really excited to see is our squad in the Champions League next season. Obviously, when we've been in the Champions League before, we're just happy to be there for 6 games. You get 3 decent away days, and you're just happy. And if you get through, and that's brilliant. But at the end of the day, I really want to see us kick on and try and reach the knockout stages again in the Champions League. I don't think it's been done since Neil Lennon against Juventus, I think it was. So I think in terms of, I'd love to see players like Kyogo, Abada, Jota, Joe Hart, even players of that ilk in the Champions League again. And I want to see how they'd handle the pressure and the situation of playing top teams like Real Madrid and Bayern Munich and things like that.
It would be, see if we could get in the Champions League and come up against these teams. It'd be amazing. Bayern Munich, getting them on stage and getting them to Celtic Park again, or getting like a Man City to Celtic Park again. We've had it before and it's been wonderful. It's been a fantastic night and really, really good for the club. And I personally think in the form that Celtic's in just now, if Celtic were to go into the Champions League, next week, strictly speaking, I think Celtic would compete. That's that's the difference. I think we would we would get out the park and we would play good football. So winning the league is so important. And it's certainly not taking our foot off the gas. That's the thing today, just against Raith Rovers. It's foot off the gas for the first 70 minutes, a bit passive, and Ange won't accept that, So Ange might be thinking this summer, well, do we bring in more players that have got that intensity, just have got that drive, and we start seeing players leaving that maybe we see as a good player at the moment. We see they're a great squad player, but Ange's thinking, no, we need proper, hungry, proactive players. Do we now start selling players? I don't know. I think Ange's that kind of character that would take out players that are we would see as really good, and maybe I say really good. We see them as good, and just moving them on a little bit, and bringing in somebody who's going to be hungry. That's the thing. You've got to have players that fit the system. There's never going to be a case of Celtic signing like an Aaron Ramsey if it doesn't fit a system. That doesn't happen. Ange's looking for players that fit the intensity levels that we want to try and get to. So it's all looking good for Celtic, and it's been positive all season really. I can't really think of the last negative, guys. Do you remember the last negative thing for Celtic?
To be honest, probably, I suppose you could probably look at the first Glasgow Derby defeat earlier in the season, when I think when we were going in so full of confidence almost, and obviously he gets it wrong with no playing Kyogo through the middle, but I think we learned a lesson from that, and that would probably be the last kind of main negative, I would say, because as you say, it's pie in the sky stuff this time last year to be thinking, we're going to have the League Cup in bag. We're going to be top of the league, still in Europe. You know, these things didn't seem possible even at the start of the season. After a couple of games, it didn't seem possible. But I think, as I say, Ange is going to be here, hopefully, touch wood, for a long, long time. I think I predicted during the week that if he's backed properly, that I think he could be here longer than Mark O'Neill. I think he loves the country, he loves the football. Might not like the journalists, but who does, you know? But I think, to be honest, I think, as I say, we've got Bodo Glimt on Thursday. We'll see how we get on. Obviously, 2 legs, the Norwegian champions. You going to the Bodo Glimt game on Thursday?
I'm going to the Bodo Glimt game, and I'm going to the Bodo Glimt away game. My mate,
you're going to Norway?
But I've read the temperature. I think it's like -8 just now, and it gets up to highs of -4. And it snows pretty much every day, so it's it's within it. It's you know, I get suntan lotion on, and you know, bottles of Sol or Corona maybe or something, I don't know, but it's it's going to be, you know, it's going to be cold for the players. It's going to be it's not going to be the nicest of conditions in Norway, plastic pitch. So I think Celtic really need to get the job done as soon as possible. Looking forward to that. What do you think?
Honestly, I think, as I say, Bodo Glimt impressed early doors against Roma, I think, in the Conference League. I think they were unbeaten against Roma. I think, if I'm right in saying, they've beaten 6-1 in the first leg or something, and I think they drew 1 each with them. So
2-2 each, I think.
They're going to be a tough opponent, no doubt. I don't think they concede many goals, but whether or no they'll, I mean, if you think it's cold in Norway, wait till they come off of here on Thursday. I think it'll be, as I say, plastic pitch. We're not looking forward to in the return leg. We don't like plastic pitches, but at the end of the day, I think, I totally agree with you in terms of, let's get the job done on Thursday. Take a 2 or 3-0 lead over there if possible, and just try and manage the game as best we can over there. Because I think what I've seen obviously early on with the Europa League games, Real Betis and Leverkusen and things like that, Ferencváros, were capable of scoring away from home. It's obviously just keeping the trap door shut at the other end, kind of thing.
Aye, that's the thing. Ange is, you know, again against good quality opposition. You know, they are going to get goals. You know, you looked at Real Betis. We were really unlucky. Real Betis the first game. The game against Leverkusen, again, really unlucky. We scored for fun. We just couldn't manage the game out. But I think now we're at a stage where we have Julian back in the team. But I don't, obviously I know he can't play in Europe because of the signing policy. I think there was only 3 players we could sign. But you look at how Starfelt's developed and Carter Vickers has developed, and they'll be quite shrewd about it. And I think, guys, tell me who the 3 players were that, you know, signed on for Europe. Was it Maeda, Hatate?
Ediguchi, was it? No. Was it
Ediguchi? I think was it? It could have been. It might have been Ediguchi, but I can't remember if it was like Juranovic. No, Juranovic was there. Sorry, I can't remember who was the last person. But anyway,
wasn't it O'Reilly? Was it? Did you mention O'Reilly?
Oh, it was O'Reilly. It was O'Reilly.
O'Reilly?
It was. Aye. So I think it was Hatate, O'Reilly, and Maeda. I think the 3 ones that they could bring into the squad. So yeah, there'll be, you know, I think that's where the players, the European players, look at the European nights at Celtic Park, and you know, they love the atmosphere under the lights, and I think that's the kind of draw for them, and you know, they'll be looking to impress on Thursday, and you know, progress in Europe, and you know, next round we could be meeting the likes of Leicester, you know, and,
hopefully, imagine the scenes, absolute scenes.
Aye, you know, when we go, hopefully, fingers crossed, we go through. We'll come back on and talk about, you know, who we might get in the next round. You know, I'm looking forward to, you know, another European night, and you know, whether or not, you know, the Norwegian champions, or you know, they're going to win all sorts this season in Norway. You know, I think Celtic's got enough in their locker to basically take out many of these teams. I don't think we'll have any fear anymore. I think we maybe in the past had a little bit of I think a little bit of anxiety, you know, whether we could, you know, hold out a result, but we didn't have the players that can, you know, create these results. And I think it's just nice to see loads of goals in Europe. You know, and that's where going forward, you know, there's going to be no fear. You'll have Jota scoring, you'll see Abada scoring, Kyogo, Maeda, Giakoumakis if you want. Goals will come from everywhere.
As I say, the few and far between the European nights, and it seems so long ago since we had the last one against, I think it was Leverkusen, or Betis, sorry, that would be Betis at Celtic Park. It seems so long ago, so you know it's great that we've got that back, and I think it just takes the pressure off being top of the league for a while, you know, because for a Scottish Cup game, we'll get a European game, then we've got a home game in the league. So hopefully we'll get back to winning ways. I will keep the winning run going rather. But we'll leave it there now, John. But as I say, thanks for jumping on, mate. As I say, you know, anytime you're welcome to come on the page. And
pleasure as always, guys. Pleasure as always. I love talking about Celtic, especially. You know, these times, and even in the worst times, I'll talk about Celtic as well. So it's not as if we'll shy away from, you know, bad results either. So we'll analyse it and we can see what we can do better. But you know, it's a pleasure coming on.
Yeah, as I said, definitely get you on in the future, mate. So as I say, guys, we'll be back next week. Try and get a couple of new guests on again. You can follow us on the socials. We've just hit the 16,000 mark on Facebook. We're hopefully going to get past the 15,000 likes or follows, I think it was, as well. Keep, you know, subscribing to our YouTube channel, our Twitter feed, available to download. I'll get the podcast on after the next 20 minutes, 30 minutes, get that on, and you can download that and listen, leave us a review. And as I say, like, we'll be back next weekend. But good luck to Celtic on Thursday, obviously, against Bodo Glimt, before we play Dundee. And obviously, congratulations to Fran Alonso and the girls today for beating Rangers in the Scottish Cup. Disappointing result midweek against Glasgow City, but, you know, the Cup double dream lives on. So as I say, good luck to them in the next round. So we'll see you again next Sunday, guys.